compared to, so what's the angle that you're playing right now? The angle you're playing is technically this line, okay? And if we draw a line forward, your distance to the angle is this. Meanwhile, look at your hog's distance. I mean, if we even go to the furthest side of his hitbox, look how close he is to the angle compared to you. Right? He is so much tighter to the angle. And as a result of this, it's impossible for him to take damage from this Sigma without the Sigma having to come wide. And if he needs to run away from the Torbjorn, I'm getting a little bit messy with my lines here, but if he needs to run away from the Torbjorn, it's easy for him to kite the damage, right? But if we just keep playing here, let me clear and then go ahead and play. It's a lot harder for you to kite. Oh yeah, and you make this even worse. I mean, your hog's also playing wide now. But look how much wider you went. You went all the way over here and you're taking damage from everybody. I understand you're trying to do damage, but what you need to understand here, especially against poke comps, is what they want to do is do as much damage to you as possible before you even take choke. So you're helping the enemy team achieve what they want to do. What you really should be doing is you should be playing right here, fanning the shield when it comes out, and actively looking to shoot the Sigma and force the Sigma backwards, right? When shield breaks and Sigma has to use suck, that's when you take space and fight the Torbjorn, right? That's when you do something else. Or you needed to commit to this top theater play that you were doing, jump out the window, go down, and go up the staircase. Because another thing poke comps don't like doing is having to turn around, right? If at some point you're up here, like on this high ground, and you're shooting the Torbjorn or you're shooting this Ashe, it's an actual nightmare for them because all of a sudden they have half as much damage coming into choke and it's easier for your team to walk in. So that's just the problem with the macro here going on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another VOD review. Today we're looking at Envy on King's Row. Envy is currently gold 1 to 2, so we are in high gold, and this is on PC. He said, "We lost, but the game was pretty close and it sort of shows my general experience playing Cassidy. Sometimes I feel good, but other times completely lost. And our tank was pretty good and they won some fights where I had no real impact. I think I did overall okay-ish in this game, but obviously that's just me and I'm pretty sure I made a lot of stupid mistakes. And in terms of what specifically they want help on, they just want generally a list of mistakes. So in this case, because you are gold and you're not looking for anything in particular to drill or practice, we're going to be looking at primarily macro. We're going to be looking at rotations. We're going to be looking at positioning pre-fight and mid-fight and how you plan accordingly. One thing before I go ahead and hop into the gameplay is I'm going to briefly review King's Row as a map for Cassidy. It's generally an okay map. You might think it'd be a good map because it's relatively closed in and close quarters, but that's actually not a great thing on Cassidy because that means you have to stand in main a lot of the time. So for example, on second attack, there's this flank here, as well as this long flank here is not very good for Cassidy. You know, it's good to know about these routes, but they're not going to be primary, your primary terms of gameplay. So you're going to be stuck in main and shooting down main and trying to make something happen in main generally. And heroes just like Sojourn and Ashe are just preferable in these types of situations because it's you can play from longer range. You can play a lot safer. If the enemy team is playing some kind of brawl comp or something like that, you can get out easier and it's just preferable. So whenever you watch pro gameplay, sometimes you'll see Cassidy, but you'll typically see an Ashe or Sojourn, particularly on first attack here. You'll see a lot of Sojourn playing up top, as well as like on attack sliding up top and going for this long flake here. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and hop to the gameplay and kind of see where we're looking at. I'm also going to turn it down a little bit. It's kind of loud. Okay, one thing I like to do on cast on attack here or on defense here first is I play hotel. I like to play this angle here and shoot as they come in, right? Watch for the cross and shoot them as they come in. And if they ever push me, I just give space and leave this way. And the reason I want to do that is because if you don't have someone playing hotel, it's pretty easy for the enemy team to make this rotation and take hotel for free. And if the enemy team is here, it can be really, really hard for your team if you're not positioned properly to be able to survive the mid fight. So I like to play hotel, that way it's not free. The only time I don't really ever play hotel is if my ally DPS is something like a Genji or a Tracer and they're playing all the way over here. The reason I don't play Hotel in this situation is because generally we're going to want more damage down main, and it's relatively okay for Cassidy to play main here. It's not the end of the world. You can make it work pretty easily. You know, you just 80-80 this corner and spam down main. But yeah, that's generally how I play attack or defense, sorry. You'll see some people like to play up here as well, but honestly, I've found that this has only had moderate success. This is only really good when I have a support playing with me, and we as a team are collectively playing to fight and contest for point. But in solo queue, that doesn't happen very often. So one thing to notice is that they're playing Widow, so that means just don't peek main. I mean, your Alari died, which you can't really do anything about, but there's something to remember. Okay. So you actually do play Hotel, which is correct. And you rotate out, which is correct too. Okay, so notice, I'm gonna keep playing the review. Just keep note of your crosshair placement. So you're consistently aiming too low. So no matter where you are on the map, you need to be aiming at head level, no matter where you are. So like right here, I'm aiming head level. Right here, I'm aiming head level. Right here, I'm aiming head level. It doesn't matter. The reason you want to do this is over time, you'll naturally just walk into kills because your crosshair is already at head level and you'll just be able to click on their head. So the problem with aiming at the floor is that whenever someone does come on your screen, you have to make two mouse adjustments. You have to move vertically, and I'll show a demonstration, but you have to move your mouse vertically and to the left or right according to how they're strafing. So you want to make aiming as easy as possible. So if you just aim head level, you can adjust left and right, and you only have one dimension of correction. So it makes everything easier mechanically. Okay, so I will demonstrate what I mean by with crosshair placement and aiming head level and so on and so forth. Maybe I should just turn this down a lot more, like literally one. And then let me make this very easy. It was 0. So one thing that comes up a lot in Overwatch is movement, right? So if you look at something like this Ashe, they're going to be moving left and right on your screen accordingly, right? Most of the time, people are not jumping unless there's something like a Genji on the field or a Pharah or an Echo. Then a lot of verticality comes into play. But for most of Overwatch, it's going to be a lot of left and right movement when it's you versus someone like this Zenyatta, okay? So as a result of this, notice how his head does not move at all, unless he jumps, on the vertical axis, right? If I aim, basically, even if he comes closer to me, his head is basically at the same position, no matter where he moves. As a result, as long as you aim generally head level, like Ashe, Zen, Genji's a little bit lower, so is Ana, Bap is the same, Lucio is lower, but if you're aiming generally head level, you are going to get headshots consistently. Because here's the thing, once you're moving head level, you only slightly have to make a vertical movement, but you do almost exclusively left and right horizontal movements, right? So whenever I'm tracking this Lucio, it's just left and right movement. The BAP, it's a little bit different after he jumps, but this is going to be just left and right movement here. Right, same thing with this Ashe, just left and right movement. And see how easy that is to track? But if you have your crosshair at the feet, you naturally aim down. I now have to move up and try to hit him in the head, right? Or hit him in the body, right? Which is, I mean, this is like super easy movement, but it's a lot harder. Like notice I have two movements I now have to control for with my mouse. But if I just do left and right, it's a lot easier moving forward. So that's why crosshair placement is really important, because if you can imagine that this line here is a corner and I'm waiting for this Tracer to peek out or this Hanzo to peek out or whatever, I just have to keep my mouse here and then I'm already at head level. I don't even have to make an adjustment for when they cross, right? It makes everything a lot easier to understand and a lot easier to control for. So one thing, so just going to back to this fight here, you actually play positioning here correctly. I just want to mention at the start of this fight as it breaks out. So right here, as it's breaking out, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. As it's breaking out, one thing to know is you just step out a little bit too far. Don't worry about shooting the Juno. Shoot the guys that are still walking in, right? So, because the thing is here, if you die, it's really bad. It's actually game losing. So your Alari already died. So what you need to keep in mind is we're down 1. How can I live and try to make some kind of play happen, right? In this situation, you don't need to trade out aggressively. Like on this Juno, you could have easily heard this Moira and this Torbjorn and been able to shoot them, right? If these guys were competent players, you would have died and it would have been a guaranteed loss. That would be your fault. And what our goal is not to win every game. It's to not throw every fight, right? And try to take initiative and take it into our own hands. This Alari died and it's not your fault. This Ana died and it's not your fault. But what can we do with the hand we're dealt to be able to win the fight? Okay. This is good. I actually like you staying here. Okay, so the mistake you're making is that you're actively walking forward here, right? So if we play the video, or if we play the VOD, notice your movement, right? You're walking forward and then backing up. So you shouldn't be doing this at all. What you should be doing is you should just be playing here and shoot them walk in and then walk backwards, right? If you walk forward here closer to them, you offer them a free kill. So you should never have movement like this, right? Like don't walk forward at all. You don't need to walk forward at all. And it's these 0.1 second where you have to back away from cover that'll get you killed. I'm telling you. Yeah, like you shouldn't have died here. You shouldn't have died here. So if you just stood there and shot them, you would have been fine. Oh, that's not you. You're empty. Okay. Okay, so we lose the point. Honestly, whatever. Not a big deal. Better. Okay, so the mistake I want to just point out here is notice in the bottom right corner, you're not reloaded, right? And it's because we used flash during the reload animation, which you never want to do, right? So just keep that in mind in terms of micro, is if you can avoid that, you absolutely should avoid that at all costs. Let's go back here. Okay, I think the flank is creative, but it's just, I don't think it's needed. So the problem with this flank is that you're going to be walking into pretty much everybody on the flank, so people can turn and look at you. The thing that's nice about this is that they're playing monkeys, so you're not really going to be getting punished for this, so it should be okay. Generally okay. Right, and you actually time it perfectly. Like, this is a good rotation. You get some value, you don't get a kill instantly, and you don't turbo greet it and you leave. Right, not bad, not bad. And then you go back. This is great. This is actually excellent. So that's just mechanics. Okay, not bad. I like this. Yeah, now we're getting a little bit too passive. But not bad. Cool. Keep in mind, look at your crosshair placement. Are you aiming head level? No. You need to aim head level wherever they might be at all times. Okay, so the only thing about this is you hear him close to you. Notice how you can hear him. What I want you to do in this matchup, always, if you want to fight him and you think you can win, I'm pre-throwing flash. Like, I'm throwing flash now, anticipating that he's right next to the door frame. That way, he's already flashed by the time I turn the corner, and I can headshot him easily or body shot him easily. The problem is he gets flash off earlier, and then he just fan the hammers you. You are also not full HP, but he gets the flash off first, which has an animation. So you're stuck in an animation by the time he's already shooting you. So that was the mistake. You needed to throw flash earlier in that duel. But I think contesting that lane was actually good. I think you played that pretty well in terms of macro and positioning. Okay, so what I want to see you do here is I want to see you take right side or contest this lane generally. The reason you want to be here is when the fight breaks out, you have good cover by playing this wall or this wall here, as well as a mini you can depend on. And if you're on this side of the map, you can contest this rotation. The problem is, because no one is here right now, this Torbjorn is going to be able to take this rotation for free, and it's going to make your mid fight a lot harder. So that's just one thing I'd keep in mind. So you actually do make the good rotation here, and you're able to contest. And honestly, you should have won this. So the issue with this here is not actually in the mechanics. It's in this roll. So the problem is you roll when you don't need to toward the Torbjorn, who has a shotgun and overclock still. So I understand why you're rolling forward, is because it puts you in fan hammer range, which is generally good against Torbjorn due to how the nature of his hitbox, right? Like Torbjorn is basically a gigantic circle. But the problem is now you don't have roll to get out if things get hairy, right? So then you get punished for it. So I'm down for this fight, but I'm not down for you to roll toward the Torbjorn for basically no reason. Yeah, and that gets you killed. But fighting him is correct. Fighting him is correct. Okay. Your hog decided to jump off the map. Okay. Okay, we just have too much downtime. So here's the problem. You're not thinking about where you need to be before the fight starts. So you're on third, your hog died. You need to be thinking about, where do I need to be when the next fight begins? Okay, playing main is not optimal. Where you want to be on King's Row, if you can make the rotation in time, is you want to be here. The reason you want to be here is because it opens up this LOS for you to shoot down main. And let's say your team does push up here and ends up fighting at this corner here. Like your hog is here and you're fighting here at cart. You want to be able to help your hog by playing either here, or if the cart is too pushed up, you would play sorry, I'm trying to get my hotkeys right. If the cart ends up pushing up, you can back up to this corner, right? So I like to play here, AD, and then if I need healing, I just hit X so my team heals me. And I also am afforded this. But it's also good because you deny this rotation from anybody. Particularly on this map, you'll see stuff like Genji being played in Tracer, and they like to abuse this left flank. And if you're already here, you can deny that rotation completely. On third, I sometimes come here, but generally I'm not playing the Mega Room. I don't think the Mega Room is that good, particularly because if you get pushed out, this rotation for your healers is pretty bad. Healers like to play back here, and if they need to help you, they have to come really wide to come out and help you. So I try to avoid playing Mega Room, but of course it's situational. So like in the middle of this fight, what you needed to do is come all the way right while the enemy team is like still here, not quite pushed up yet, and then come and wrap all the way to this window. That way, whenever the fight starts, you can just shoot from this window down to the enemy team entirely. So that would have been optimal gameplay, and you just kind of stay in main, and it ends up getting you killed. Well, it actually doesn't end up getting you killed. It just ends up where during the mid fight, you're not in a position to be able to do anything. So like, for example, this grab comes out. If you were already in the position I was talking about and you weren't rotating, imagine this deadeye right now. Imagine this. You would be putting pressure on 1, 2, 3, 4 people on the enemy team. The only thing you have to worry about is sleep. And so what you do in this situation is, there's a box right here. All you would do is you just AD right here and play carefully around the box. And then dodge to sleep and then swing out wide when you can. And bam, you just killed 4 and you won the whole team, the whole fight for your team. And your team is extremely happy with what's going on. So yeah, that's just the situation. You just get caught out in this rotation. Yeah, and everyone does. So yeah, they needed your deadeye right there. And now you need to die so you don't stagger. Yeah, so this was a misplay as well, is when your whole team dies so quickly in succession, notice something. So look at the top right here. Look at their respawn timer. Look at everyone's respawn timer. They're all about the respawn. Okay, and now look at yours. So there's a new mechanic in the game called the wave respawn system, where if everyone dies at a similar time, they'll respawn all at the same time now. It used to be where you die according to, it'd be 8 seconds from when you die, but now if you die close enough in time, you'll respawn at the same time. But now all these guys on your team are going to be coming out at the same time, and you're going to be like 8 seconds later. So you're going to have an 8-second delay, which is terrible when the fight actually starts. because they're going to be down a guy. They're going to be playing 4v5 on this next fight here. And you do have some ultimates, right? You do have whole hog, but they have beam, right? So you need as many people as you can have to win this fight here. So dying late is actually super bad because you won't be able to have a 5v5 in this next fight here. Okay. Okay, don't fan the hammer, you're too far away. So generally, rule of thumb with fan the hammer is if they're not like within 2 feet of you, then don't fan. Also, you should pretty much never be fanning the hammer against a Zarya, just a rule of thumb. I never fan the hammer. The absolute best Cassidy players like Lip, basically never fan. Basically never fan. So I wouldn't be fanning him, I would just be shooting him. It's also good practice to just shoot them long term, because it you know, refines your ability to aim head level and get kills. Yeah, like it's just awkward. But this, notice how good this positioning is. What are they supposed to do about you? What is there to do about you? Okay, so we just get greedy. So here's your problem. It's kind of obvious, but just look at this. Let's watch it back. Watch where you are. Yep. So here's the problem. Whenever you're fighting this Mei, I'm down for you to ego the Mei. Like I'm down for this because it's not that bad of a fight for you. But just notice this. You see how far you are away from the wall? This is a problem. You should be right here. Imagine this stick figure, this crew drawing is Cassidy. You should be right here, okay? That's where you should be shooting this guy. It's a little bit easier for the Mei, admittedly. Like if the Mei is shooting you like this, bam, 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 it's pretty easy for her to predict that you're gonna be re-peeking this corner. But the thing is, if you do get shot, this rotation out is so much easier than this rotation out. The problem with this is you have to roll to get out, and that's a cooldown. And we don't want to use cooldowns like this. Because the problem is if you use roll here and the Zarya comes around the corner and starts pushing up, you're just going to get beamed because you already used roll because you took too much damage from the Mei fight. So that was your mistake here, is you just end up taking way too much poke in this phase because you're not playing close enough to the angle. Yeah, she gets a headshot on you. And you force Moira to heal you. And then you just take too much poke again. So, I mean, realistically, your support should have healed you. I don't know why you didn't get any healing, but you shouldn't have died anyway. Oh my gosh. Removed from the game, actually. Okay, so this comes down to pre-fight planning again. Where do we want to be when the fight starts? Do we want to be here? Is this good for us? Do we want to be here? Is this good for us? Do we want to be here? Is this good for us? Think about each angle, right? The problem with this angle, and this comes with experience, is if you start to fight here, at some point, unless you just absolutely frag out, at some point you'll need to make this rotation, and it's a really long rotation for Cassidy without a lot of cover. Right, so I tend to avoid this playing here on defense. There's kind of a similar issue with playing right here. This is a long rotation, but this place is safer generally because you not only do you have a mega, you have a lot of cover to work with. So I would rather you be here, or honestly even here when the fight starts, rather than where you are right now. Okay, that Orisa is throwing. Don't know what Orisa is doing. Nice shots. Okay, see, this is a perfect example of how you actually play this Mei duel. So in this Mei duel, which I wouldn't take it at this range, just a little bit too far, but for example, notice this. You're a lot closer to the wall, like noticeably closer. Like, look at this. Noticeably closer to the wall than you were before, right? Before you were like here. Right, like this is just way better. And as a result, when she does headshot you, straight to cover. You didn't need to roll here, but I understand the roll. But now you're unkillable, right? You're unkillable. So this is a lot better. Hold on. Just gonna see this mechanically. Yeah, we're just not aiming head level. We're aiming a little bit too low, but okay, that's fine. Look again, look at your crosshair. Look at your crosshair. You're way too low. Way too low. You could have killed him with a headshot. Great shots, by the way. Nice. Honestly, you played that great. That was well played. I like that a lot. So the only thing I'll mention so far is we're really holding on to Deadeye. Deadeye builds really quickly. So honestly, if you ever see a situation where like a reload would be helpful, there hasn't really been a great, situation yet. But if you think there's a situation where a reload would be helpful, don't hesitate to use it. It's not that great of an ultimate, so if you can find a way to use it and not die, because the problem is, and this comes up in other VODs as well, the problem with Deadeye inherently is that it's one of the only ultimates in the game that will actively get you killed if you use it incorrectly. Now, there's only a couple other ultis like that, like in this case, Junkrat, Tire, and situationally a Roadhog ult, but most ultis in the game aren't like that. Like Ko is never going to get you killed. Lari ult should basically never get you killed either. Yeah, but Deadeye is like probably the most egregious example of that. So just one thing to understand about Deadeye. Anyway. Yeah, so you desync with your team a little bit here, but not worried about it. It's not an egregious error. Okay, so you should realistically never kill this Orisa. This Orisa is just kind of terrible. So if you're gonna go for this Deadeye, you need to be not here. Because here's the problem. If you get, sorry. Oh my gosh, hit the wrong thing. If this Orisa was like some level of competent, you would be getting javelined right now straight back into this wall and stunned. And the problem is if that happens to you, you have no rotation out. You can't make it here fast enough, and you'd have to roll to the left, and even then she can still see you as you're rotating out. So you needed to use this Deadeye from, like, you had a couple options. You could have gone all the way back here and do it from here, or do it from this corner here, right? And that way, if they do jav you, you can just move to the left and they instantly can't see you anymore. Or you can roll backwards, or like you just have more options, right? The problem is here, you're in the open. If they push you, you're basically dead. You're just dead. In 8 out of 10 situations, you die, and you just happen to roll the 20% here. So this is lucky that it succeeds. Yeah, I don't know what this Orisa is doing. But I like this rotation from you. I like this a lot. And you're playing it safe. I like that a lot too. Nice. Honestly, you play this part perfectly. That was like extremely well done. I mean, mechanically we could have done a little bit better, but I'm really proud of how you played that. That was great. Oh, I need to get rid of this yellow dot in the circle center. There we go. But yeah, you did that pretty well. I think like inherently your biggest problem with defense here is a lot of your pre-fight positioning on third in particular was not great. You were playing too wide on angles, right? Like we played too wide here, for example. But yeah, I didn't really have a lot of problems with what you were doing. I like you playing here. You needed to take this fight a little bit better. It's a lot of like your 1v1s that aren't great so far. Okay. So this is just a little bit of, this is some like specific knowledge, but when it comes to rollout on King's Row, I always path this way. So the reason you don't want to path right side is because when you come to this right side here, you open yourself to spam from statue this way, like you're getting spammed out now by this Torbjorn, as well as there's an angle from main down to this side of the bus as well. So the only time you really want to play this side of the bus is when you are going to be making this rotation into theater, or you are a different hero like Ashe or Hanzo or something like that that'll benefit from this long range angle here. So yeah, so I pretty much always make this yellow arrow rotation here, and I look to from here. It's going to depend on what my tank does, but if my tank is taking space actively, I will rotate to this side of statue and look for some kind of rotation through this mega room up top here. Or if my tank is a little bit more passive, I will try to fight for hotel and look for some kind of flank on backline through hotel. So it'll just depend on the situation, but that's my playbook generally when it comes to King's Row. Okay. Yeah, but notice how awkward this is for you, right? You have Ana and Ashe looking straight at you here. Like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? You're totally outranged. And if you come out wide here, because the problem is now that you're on this side of the bus, how do you get back to the left side? You have to go all the way back around the bus. It's like, it's just straight up not optimal. You should basically never come to this side. Okay. Okay, I wouldn't be making this rotation, but I understand why you're doing it. And your tank is dead, and you're down a bunch of people. So right now you need to live, and that's what you do. Good job. Okay. Okay. So this is better because you're making this rotation earlier in the fight. Like the fight hasn't started yet and you're rotating. And this is the whole thing about Cassidy is generally, if you know you want to make a long rotation, you need to do it before the fight starts. So it's good that you're here now because when it actually matters, right? When the fight starts, you're somewhere that actually matters. Okay, your Torb died, but whatever. Not your fault. Okay, and yeah, so this is just another experience thing. You should basically never, ever, on Cassidy, it's pretty much never good to stand here. The reason why is precisely because of how you die. There's an Ashe here. You know, these long range heroes just win this fight every single time. So the only time you'll come into theater is play this door frame exactly as you're doing and then roll out the door, or not roll out the door, but fall out the door and roll or walk up the staircase on the side. So yeah, so I just wouldn't be playing this how you're doing it. Really, you need to be playing the other side of main, as we mentioned earlier. Okay, let me go back to, there we go. Okay. Okay. So if they're playing close choke, just keep in mind that an option for you is to rotate through this room and play over here to get to there without taking damage, which is what you do. Perfect. Okay, so this is the kind of similar problem we're having on third. We had on third. Look how wide you are to the angle. Whoops. Look how wide you are to the angle here. You are, well, actually, let me go in third person. Look how wide you are compared to, so what's the angle that you're playing right now? The angle you're playing is technically this line, okay? And if we draw a line forward, your distance to the angle is this. Meanwhile, look at your Hog's distance. I mean, if we even go to the furthest side of his hitbox, look how close he is to the angle compared to you. Right, he is so much tighter to the angle, and as a result of this, it's impossible for him to take damage from this Sigma without the Sigma having to come wide. And if he needs to run away from the Torbjorn, I'm getting a little bit messy with my lines here, but if he needs to run away from the Torbjorn, it's easy for him to kite the damage, right? But if we just keep playing here, let me clear and then go ahead and play. It's a lot harder for you to kite. Oh yeah, and you make this even worse. I mean, your Hog's also playing wide now. But look how much wider you went. You went all the way over here and you're taking damage from everybody. I understand you're trying to do damage, but what you need to understand here, especially against poke comps, is what they want to do is do as much damage to you as possible before you even take choke. So you're helping the enemy team achieve what they want to do. What you really should be doing is you should be playing right here, fanning the shield when it comes out, and actively looking to shoot the Sigma and force the Sigma backwards, right? When shield breaks and Sigma has to use suck, that's when you take space and fight the Torbjorn, right? That's when you do something else. Or you needed to commit to this top theater play that you were doing, jump out the window, go down, and go up the staircase. Because another thing poke comps don't like doing is having to turn around, right? If at some point you're up here, like on this high ground and you're shooting the Torbjorn or you're shooting this Ashe, it's an actual nightmare for them because all of a sudden they have half as much damage coming into choke and it's easier for your team to walk in. So that's just the problem with the macro here going on. Okay, so let's go back to the gameplay. Okay. Yeah, we're just accomplishing nothing. Like, the problem with playing against poke as Cass is you generally don't do a ton of poke I mean, you just don't have the range for it. Like, we need to try to do something inventive. Like, just try to make something up. If nothing's happening choke, all right, dude, we're going out the window. Like, I don't care if you die, but you need to try something. Because right now we're not trying anything. Yeah, and we died. And this is the bus principle again, right? Just don't come to the right side of the bus. But yeah, like we're just not accomplishing anything. And we're in now. This is good. Okay, wait. Let me watch this in normal speed. Okay. Kitsune comes out. Great. We roll forward. Honestly, that's fine. We're going wide. We're fighting the Torbjorn. Jeez, that was a little bit risky. Oh, and we just die. Okay, so here we just needed to not really dead eye. You need to just shoot him. You missed the flash, which is okay, but you need to just shoot him here. Honestly, is what this comes down to. I'm typically a proponent of using Deadeye for situations like this, but the problem is you're just kind of too close, and you take too much damage, right? Like, you walk into this fight and you're already half HP, and he hits one body shot on you, and you actually live his next bullet because you use Deadeye. You actually use your damage resistance saves you, and then you force user and you just don't get enough healing and you die. So you needed to just shoot him. That's what that came down to, really. So I want to just point out that it felt like you were doing nothing on this point because you weren't actually doing anything, and it's because you weren't being proactive on your plays. And this is why I was saying that Cass is generally not good on King's Row. What the heck? I was saying which is why I was saying Cass is not generally good on King's Row, is because, like, what do you do? Like, if you get stuck in choke, what are you supposed to do? Cassidy doesn't have a lot of tools here. That's why you'll see Ashe more. You'll see Sojourn more. Because what can Sojourn do? Sojourn can find the opportunity to slide up here, and it's easier to take this angle. Or slide into the stairs, and it's easier to take that angle, right? Cassidy doesn't have those options. You don't have the mobility to be able to do that. So that's why you have to just get inventive and try to just make something happen. And even if it means you die. Good flank, by the way. This is great. Great flank as well. I wouldn't have fanned that personally, but honestly, it's fine. Not a big deal. That's a great hook. Okay, I'm down for this. I'm down for this. Okay, so this is, I was actually going to mention this. I generally avoid playing this high ground precisely because of what actually happens here. So you peek the angle. What sucks about this, it's a good high ground in the sense that you're not very accessible by the enemy team, but this fight for you is really bad. It's really bad. The only time this high ground is ever good is in the middle of a fight, like mid-fight, you somehow found this rotation and you shoot down at the enemies. Like from here, you shoot downwards, right? Like straight on top of their head type stuff. But the problem is when they're coming back from spawn, you always lose this duel. Like to pretty much any hero. Unless they're playing here, but you know, you just have to catch them mid-rotation. So this kind of comes down to, the range is just not great for Cass. And then also this. So here's the problem with this as well, is there's no health packs here at all, as well as the cover's not great. Like, it's pretty easy for someone to come up here and swing you if you end up playing like to the left side of this generator thing. And it's a long hallway backwards. The problem is if they do come fight you, there's not a lot of great cover. So you're kind of stuck and forced into the 1v1. And, you know, it's unfortunate that Sojourn happened to have rail here, but I think this is losing most situations. So I tried to avoid playing that high ground. The alternative is to, instead of coming to the high ground, is to come play left side and try to play this door and rat here and try to catch someone in rotation. Or you can play here as well. This is a little bit safer because you can rotate out, but you know, it's just going to be depending on what you want to do. Okay, we come flank. I'm down for it. Big flank. Okay, don't fan there. Honestly, this was all fine. So the only thing, whenever you're going for something like this, you need to think about how you want to approach this in terms of just positioning. You should really be playing. Actually, you know what? This is fine. This is fine. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I like this. Okay, I want to see you. I want to see you take space. I want to see you come over here. I want to see you play. There's like a pillar here. I want to see you play this pillar and come out wide. Okay. Nice, perfect. The reason I like this is it opens. Yep, it opens up this rotation. Yep, perfect. This is perfect. This spot is really good for Cassidy, by the way. Really good. Oh. I accidentally skipped forward. Oh, you end up dying. A little bit of foreshadowing there. But yeah, it's really good for Cassidy because you can play around the mega, and it's aggressive enough, but there's also cover for you to rotate out to. Okay, notice the problem. Notice the problem. Okay, we're gonna peer through the wall here. Notice the problem. What angle are you playing right now? What angle are you playing right now? You're not playing any, basically. The angle that you're technically would be playing is this door corner here and this angle here. And we are playing all the way out here. Like, what are we doing? I mean, your body ends up over here, but like, you are open to so much gunfire from here. You need to be playing really tight to the angle right here and aiming head level and trying to headshot them. Like, that is your goal. And this is the whole thing about why aiming head level is so important. Like, let's go back to, let me go back. Your camera, why is it not working? There we go. So notice this. Okay, we're aiming at the floor currently. We're trying to shoot rats or bugs or something. Not aiming head level, and you die for it. You only get one shot off. If that one shot was a headshot, it would have made a big difference, right? You needed to be aiming head level there, and like and just playing tight to the angle. 80 aiming head level, and maybe you kill a soldier, maybe you don't, and then you just get out. That's it. But you went too deep and you died as a result. Okay, so one thing I try not to do on Cass, and this is kind of the same thing as on as you know back here, is I generally don't play this left room. The problem is exactly what you're running into right now, which is that whenever you are, whoops, let me get my pen. Whenever you are right here, you know, ignore that the wall is here, but whenever you are right here and you're shooting here, making a rotation out and around this wall is really tough. So what I tend to do is like come main and I look for this rotation into this mega room and look to play this pillar here and these boxes as well as this back pillar here, because you know, and you kind of did it the first fight, but the reason it's good is because there's a staircase here, you go down here and you have this rotation mid fight, and it's just a lot better and it's harder to deal with you. And what I like about this as well is if you take this space on the right side, your team can take main and left, and it kind of allows for a greater split between your team. That way this enemy team doesn't just look at one lane, they have to deal with now 3 lanes during the fight. So yeah, I just typically don't come to this mega room or this mini room on the left, because you'll just find what I've found, which is you just kind of get stuck here. Yeah, so this is a bad roll. So ignoring ult tracking. The problem is, not only do you come out main, like on the floor in main, I pretty much never do this, which is come out on the floor in main. Not only do you do that, you also roll deep. Like, watch. What is his roll, dude? And what are we accomplishing? Nothing. That accomplishes actually nothing. And as a result, I don't, like, I can understand why you want to use Deadeye, which is the fight is starting, but if you're really going to use Deadeye strategically, you needed to be on this right side and Deadeye from here. That way you actually have cover. But you have nothing. You only killed a soldier out of sheer miracle, right? I'm being honest. So that was just generally a bad play. Like, walking down main like that, especially against Narissa, is just almost never good. You're way too close. Perfect. This rotation is really good for Cassidy. Because what you're looking for is you're looking for a mid-fight flank in the form of walking down the hallway and coming out this left side and shooting them from behind. Or you're looking to do some kind of just shoot from the window. Like, either way. But I like this play a lot. Oops. Great job. Okay, soldier shit. So this is just a mechanics issue, but this is a good position. Like, you're doing great. Yeah, ignore the Orisa. Just shoot the Ana. That's what I'd be doing. Perfect. This is great. I love the flank. So this is actually a straight up deadlift from you, by the way. A straight up deadlift. Great job. So against Orisa, you've been playing against Orisa the whole time. You should be picking the Fan the Hammer perk instead of the Deadeye perk. The Deadeye perk I only really pick against like squishy tanks that are not going to be Fan the Hammering, like Zarya. So you just you picked the wrong perk here. But no, not too important, but it's just one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, look how much free value you're getting. Oh, okay, yeah, we swing a little bit too wide here. We get a little too close. Like, you should have just played that first window. But honestly, this was a really good positioning. A lot of this was just mechanical failure. If you were a little bit better mechanically, you would have already won the game. Yeah, and I think it's just lost. Yeah, we just needed to get a little bit more out of that position at the end there. But there are a couple situations where you could have got more in general. Like, you needed to not die up here. You needed to get that play. On defense, we could have played a lot better by not playing this door, but instead playing over here. Like, there was a lot of different situations. I think if I had to give you some active points of feedback, is that number one, your biggest issue by far is whenever you are poking, like pre-fight, you just go way too wide, like pretty consistently. Like, when you're fighting this mate, you come out all the way over here and then take a lot of damage and then die for it. Also, I think one thing that's a little bit map specific is just understanding when you do get stuffed, like you got stuffed here, you need to try to just invent a play sometimes. Like, you needed to just like try to come up here and roll out to the side and just try to make something happen, because you can't always bet that your team is going to come through, right? And I don't mean literally int, right? Of course, read the state of the situation, but just try to think more about how to make a play happen. And particularly against poke type comps like the Ashe and the Sigma you were dealing with, you need to prioritize taking as little damage as possible. But like you were coming too wide and taking a bunch of damage. But generally, I think you play pretty well. I think your flanks and positioning is generally pretty good. Like, I really liked this rotation from you. This was really creative and actually extremely high impact, as well as the flank you did on second to take this space here and shoot them in the back was also extremely high impact. I just think we need a little bit more practice mechanically to be able to better execute on those. So I would definitely be hitting up Thanks 8 and Vaxta, which is the codes I talk about a lot. Try to get 15 to 20 minutes a day of just straight training. What I do is I listen to no music, no podcasts, nothing. I turn game audio all the way down to 3 to 5. It should be quiet enough where you can still hear the gunshots, but nothing. And I want you to focus on aiming head level at all times. I want you to aim head level, and as I was kind of talking about, minimizing vertical mouse movement and just focus on horizontal. That way, whenever you do peak angles like you did here, it's a lot easier for you to two-tap that soldier rather than, shooting him in the body and then dying. So I would just get some practice in, 15 to 20 minutes a day if you can, and over time, you'll see a very large improvement. But once again, thank you so much for the VOD, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.